Hey guys, it is the 5th of May 2018. We are smack dab in the middle of the spring 2018 anime season. Welcome to episode 93 of 4PlayerAnimecast. I am your host, Spire, and with me are my lovely co-hosts, Near, Toast, Dark. How are you guys doing?
Who you calling lovely?
Are you coming on to me, dude?
Yes, pretty awesome. It's because I'm an insult. I just need to get out there.
Shut up. Start this.
Oh my god. Anyways, been pretty standard week, I would guess. Other than a lot of visual novels coming out this past 2 weeks for some reason. I haven't really seen any like big news or anything like that. But we are going to be talking about some more of the big titles this season, so look out for that. Again, I haven't been up to that much other than watching the usual stuff that I do, reading my usual web novels, getting back into the pace. Cooking with Wild Game, Isekai Ryori do. Fuck, man. That thing's getting to the good parts, and I keep wanting to read more.
Is that the one with the smelly dark elf?
Yes.
Nice.
I'm not sure whether
It's
smelly,
the one where the dark elf's smelly, and she was cutting up a boar, and she was like, I know, like she's like, I know I smell because of this wild boar, and he's like, oh, you smell so good.
Oh yeah, because of the fruit thing. Yeah.
And it's the one with this where he died because he saved his father's Santoku knife, right? And then he got transported to an isekai. Nice.
Yes.
Wait.
That's why it has isekai in the name. But anyways, so I've been up to that. I've been really wanting to read some of these more visual novels that have been coming out, but not that much time in the basket. But yeah, I'll be talking about a series shortly. Another one to knock them out. And how about you, Dark? What have you been up to?
I've been struggling to keep up with not reading.
Reading. But that must be.
Yeah, it's been a pretty arduous task. It's real hard.
Keep your eyes away from it. It's pretty hard.
Yeah, so that's been pretty difficult. I don't know. I don't think I've really even really done much new. I've pretty much just been keeping up with everything. I don't think anything
That's understandable. Yeah.
has started, or I've started anything new in the past 2 weeks.
No like big announcements or anything that have really come up, right? So.
No, not really.
Yeah. So.
But what have you been playing, Dark? I heard you've been playing a new game.
What?
I've heard you've been playing a new game.
What new game? I'm actually Closers? Is it Closers? That's not anime. Actually, oh shit, actually I couldn't avoid reading Closers is like half a visual novel. Fuck.
Damn.
I read.
No.
Well, there you have it. I actually had to read.
Holy shit, this is so depressing. Yuri has a 10th anniversary right now, or had 10th anniversary a couple of weeks ago.
Wow, I can't wait for season 4. Didn't a new OVA just came out, I think?
It was just OVA, yeah. The season 4 is definitely
Is that the series where the author
You don't know that. If everyone buys the volumes with the OVA, they'll know.
Stop this.
Is that the series where the author was like, oh, Chinatsu and Toshino Kyoko got married. Here's their marriage license.
I'm not sure. I haven't watched it yet. But anyways, keep going, Dark.
That's pretty much all I have, man. I haven't done anything new, really. I've just been keeping up with everything. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that I've already watched everything that, like...
Have you watched Comic Girl, according to Prince of the Universe? It is anime of the season. I
already watched it. I already talked about it, and he's fucking wrong for one. It is literally
Man Girl, but worse.
It is the most, well, no, not probably the most mediocre. It's checking all the boxes. It's just checking all the boxes, and that's it.
I think beyond checking all the boxes, I think the reason why you also reacted this way is because it is so episodic and repetitive in a sense. Like not like repetitive as in like the theme is repetitive, but like the entire structure episode by episode is extremely repetitive. Is my guess.
Yeah, it just runs the loop.
Yeah, so unfortunate, but I
So
mean, not
fuck
everything.
you. You're wrong, man.
Anyways, thank you for that, and again, you'll be covering a series of your own. Nier, what have you been up to?
Not much. I'm not gonna
Okay.
lie. This season's like so bad. It's actually like killing my motivation to watch anime.
Here, what about
Just
that
like-
one show you've been looking forward to?
Miyazaki was-
Shoujo site.
Can I ask you something? Nier, is Miyazaki right? Was anime a mistake?
Maybe, I don't know.
It's like Nier actually doesn't want to admit it. Like even if we all knew that it was right, it's like no, not if it was said by Miyazaki.
I don't want to give him the satisfaction.
Yeah. Anyways,
Yeah, I don't know, man. This season sucks, man.
no, unfortunate.
I watched I tried to finish Violet Evergarden yesterday, and then I got interrupted, and I was kind of upset. But
What was it? Was
Yeah.
it by Dark?
No.
Did he ask you to go into voice?
no, but yeah, I don't know. Just not
Not a lot
feeling
of-
it. Not
Yeah,
feeling
not a
it
lot
this
of not a
season,
lot
man.
of not even like premise wise, not a lot of series really grabbed you. I think during the previews, if I
Yeah.
remember correctly.
What
Yeah.
are you guys
Very
talking
unfortunate.
about? There are 3 Magical Girl series this season. All of them are good.
Oh.
Nope.
Do you really believe that, Toast?
Yes.
It's like during those like MSNBC or like some other like news like channel where it's like they like somebody comes on and they just say something really stupid and they're like, wait. Like the host has to be like, wait, what did you say?
Wait, does Gun Gale Online count as a Magical Girl series?
No.
No girl shoot people, dude.
And even if it was, it's still not. Anyways, Toast, what have you been up to?
Does 3D Kanojo Real Girl count as a Magical Girl series?
No, it doesn't because it's fucking bad. But we're not talking about that this week.
Well,
Oh,
I
yeah.
have watched all of the Magical Girls this season, and I can tell you without a shadow of a doubt, they're all good. Mahou Shoujo
I don't think you believe that.
Oremo is good. The one with Kizuna Eye, that's prime time watching right there. Good, that's good
Yeah.
eating.
Good eating.
And the other one, which is the 5th reiteration of the same series over and over again, is also just as well done. Steak.
Okay.
I know you don't believe that.
Anyways, with that covered, I guess we'll just quickly go on to the series.
What
Thank
did
you,
you
Chris.
watch, Spire?
Yeah, so I'll go first. I watched most of like the standard stuff. But the series that I did want to talk about, now that it got some decent number of episodes, is actually Mahou Shoujo site. So it is the emblematic Dark Magical Girl series of
It
the
is
season.
it is the titular Dark Magical Girl series.
That doesn't even
No
make
one
sense.
else has done such. No one else has
Do
attempted.
you, wait.
Such a
You
series
just used
before.
titular in a sentence that just didn't make any sense. It's just the only thing that's titular about Mahou Shoujo site that is the fact that it has Mahou Shoujo in the name. What the fuck?
It is.
That's enough, dude.
Alright, that's
Nice.
enough.
That's all you need.
Did you know Mahou Shoujo Ore is the titular
That just
male magical
Toast
girl
is like-
series?
Toast just set the record for like blowing my mind like early into the podcast. Like it hasn't even been like 10-15 minutes and he's just like already fucking broken me right now. But anyways, Mahou Shoujo site. the titular Dark Magical Girl series.
It is the progenitor of all Dark Magical Girl series that will come. In the...
Toast has actually not watched any anime. He just read Thesaurus. He's just read the Thesaurus for the past 2 weeks. But anyways, it's it's Dark Magical Girl series. The major deviations are that all the girls have like weird fucking ass sticks. And sticks are what they essentially call
Called
the
PPs?
weapon. Yes.
It is their magical girl wand.
Oh.
But they're just called sticks.
But it's sticks, and they can also be.
My
considered...
stick is a gun.
Yeah.
When are they gonna start with ropes?
Yeah.
My stick is this razor blade I have here.
Yeah. So they have weapons. They're like individual weird weapons. They don't necessarily have to be like. They don't have to be sensible. They can be like fucking like. It can be like guns, but it can also be like other like random items and shit like that.
My
like,
favorite
for instance,
one
the
is the
like,
panty one.
Like
yeah,
exactly, the panties and stuff like that. And they're called sticks, because it refers to the magical girls having sticks, right? But
Haha, I get it.
it's a parody of the traditional
yes,
magical
it's
girl.
That's
I'm gonna fucking bar. That's not what it means. But anyways, the main girl, I don't care about her name. She gets
It's
bullied by
Aya
everybody.
Asagiri.
Yeah.
Ayagiri.
I could not care less.
Asagiri is a nice name. I like that.
It is, but I still don't care. The point is she gets bullied by everybody, and then one day she essentially gets invited to become like a magical girl, right? And then she gains these sorts of like powers, right? And she essentially causes the death of one of her bullies, and
wow, what a bully.
yeah. From there,
It's not her fault, Spire. She doesn't know how her stick gun works.
Yeah, so she
Wait, so she gets bullied and then she becomes a magical girl that brings a gun to school?
Hell yeah.
Yeah, it's a magic.
Is that really what's happening right now?
It's a magical gun. It has wings on it, so you know it's magical.
Okay.
So
Aya Asagiri's the girl that's like the girl who calls the one person that was nice to her during lunch break, and she's like, "Don't go to school tomorrow."
yeah, the initial like episode isn't really that important. It mainly just sets up the fact that the main girl is bullied, and her killing off the bullies gives her more freedom to act throughout the story. Is why they're dead, right? Because else they'll probably bug her or some shit like that, right? And the writers would be like, "Damn, how do we develop these bullies?" But the point is, they get rid of the writers get rid of the bullies. They're out to the side, and then the main character finds out more about these other girls and the other sticks, and they're all trying to, kill each other off, get more sticks and weapons and stuff like that to prevent themselves from dying when something called the Tempest arrives, essentially.
Wow.
And this Tempest is some sort of dark, edgy, puberty-laden event that will apparently, quote-unquote, destroy this godforsaken world and create a new one or something like that.
Alright, do you want to know what the Tempest is?
I don't really.
Yeah, so it opens up with her. I just hate this godforsaken world.
Yeah.
This is actually a spin-off of another series called Mahou Shoujo of the End / Mahou Shoujo Apocalypse. So
Yeah.
which is weird because how did the spin-off get a TV series before the main series?
Yeah, I'm kind of wondering about that too. But either way, it's not this series isn't very good. But let me save the evaluation for later. So they're all going out, and the main girl is fighting and making friends. Making friends with your enemies to see what the sticks, where all the other weapons of sticks are. Finding out more about these other girls. Maybe some girls are brash, but then they get super eager in fights, and then maybe some people are super friendly on the outside, and then when they have to fight, they're super sly and evil. The usual thing, right? That goes on through these battle royale dark magical girl shit. And then every 5 minutes or so, they do a flashback to one of the characters my mother was killed at a Yakuza gang, and then the entire house set on fire, and then the fire killed my father, and then the fire also spread to my dog and killed the dog too, and then the dog's corpse killed my immediate rest of the family, and all
And
this
that's why I
garbage.
use panties as a
Yeah,
weapon.
exactly.
Actually, near. Actually, near. The Yakuza girl's
Actually.
wand is a sword.
The idea is that they all have angsty background stories, and they're all fighting each other to essentially get as many weapons as possible to prevent themselves, save their own asses from when this apocalypse time.
Because the more you use your own stick, the more you die.
Yes.
So by using other person's sticks, you can extend your
you
life and use up their
essentially
life.
do so essentially it's sort of like a loophole, quote unquote, and you're trying to use the other girl's weapons to fuck them up and survive essentially.
So it's like stealing command seals in Fate.
Yeah.
No.
So what's the end game?
It's more like Battle Royale.
It's trying to get all the other people's weapons so you can kind of use them freely and sort of to save your asses when this apocalypse time or the Tempest or whatever they call it come. They haven't really explained what the Tempest is yet. It doesn't really matter.
It's obviously
it's something bad.
But it's obviously hinting towards the main series. It's like
Probably,
obvious.
I haven't read
It's not
the
very
main
veiled.
series. But overall, I mean, there is a lot of focus on flashbacks and being like, this girl's getting bullied. I believe I showed Dark and Near this before, a couple of weeks before, when we were actually trying to cover Mahou Shoujo for the first time, but we didn't. But it was about the main girl getting bullied, right, by the initial episode 1 bullies, right, and a stereotypical fictional bullying thing is they put pins inside her shoes, right, or inside her shoes, so she steps on them and it's painful and stuff like that, right? But
haha, now you have tetanus.
But what they do in the anime is they fill the entire shoe with pins, so you can't actually put your foot in it. I was just like, okay. And then it's all the other bullies are super characteristic, they're all like, yeah, well, fuck you, what worth do you have in life, stuff like that. It's very characteristic and very extreme. Beyond that, I'm not particularly impressed. They have the standard if there's anybody outside that's smart enough to try to get in on the Magical Girl game or find out more about it, then they'll be killed off and stuff like that. So they tie their knots pretty well. But beyond that,
who's your favorite Spire?
My favorite is the blonde sidekick. Actually, no, it's not. It's the blue idol girl. I like that. Her.
You mean Nijimin?
Yeah,
the one with the panties.
Yeah.
I hate everything that you're saying right now.
But she's the only interesting one, Kappa.
What about Asagiri Aya's Oni-chan? He's a pretty cool dude. The way the way he punches her.
The way she punches the main girl, yeah. The way he punches the main girl.
Until she throws up. You like that exciting. Riona kind of thing, don't you?
That's totally my fetish, yes. But that aside, I mean, the consensus seems to be pretty, not just me, but across the viewership, seems to be pretty this series is pretty garbage or whatever. I don't know what else to say.
I've only heard praise of how dark it is.
What the fuck?
That's
not right.
No.
It's wow, they took the magical girl genre spun it around on their heads and have
on
taken
their head.
it.
What happens when you take a dark magical girl and put it on its head?
You make it even darker. You make it throw up.
You're the Madoka of our generation, dude.
Yeah, man.
it's like what we did to make this dark thing more unique? We made it darker. That's not how this works. But again, I don't know what else to say. It's depressing almost how bad these writers are at thinking up of something decent for the magical girl premise.
I mean,
It's not even like I'm not even angry at this point. I'm just like
I'm not angry. I'm just
disappointed.
yeah.
Yeah, disappointed. Disappointed.
How would you compare it to something else like Yuki Yuna is a hero?
Yes. Okay. So
Or
that's a good question.
Madoka.
Yeah, Madoka. Yeah, that's the second one is a dangerous comparison to make because I know somebody will just like shout at me for the next hour. Yeah, I know like some.
That's the comparison that everyone's gonna make though. If you have
I
any
mean,
magical girl series that has any sort of quote unquote dark themes, it's gonna be compared to Madoka immediately. Like
yeah. So how do I say this? So the trend I've noticed is that so Madoka obviously like set a structure that a lot of these people have been following, but one sort of deviation is that there's this like normalization of how this structure is within the story. That is not within like this genre has become normal, but a normalization of how the magical girls perceive the thing. So it's like in Manhwa, the girls, there were a relatively finite number of girls, right? There were like 15 different girls fucking trying to run around like begging Kyubey, like sucking its dick and like trying to kill Monaco or mess with the gang, right? There were there were much less girls in the cast than what is going on now, or rather, what's going on now is they're not really treating this as something special. They're like, oh, there's this like thing that's going on. You'll get an award. It's really weird, but once the battle goes on, it's essentially like a laser tag game where everybody's just like, oh man, who's left? Like, what's the score? You know what I mean? It's a normalization. And this normalization, I assume, is being done because the writers are subconsciously trying to make this genre easier to flow in terms of how the pacing action. You know what I mean? Because once you start being like, oh, who's left? Who's gonna get the rewards? Who has X weapon? Who has the railgun? Like stuff like that, right? It becomes much easier to flow the story, right? I keep track of things in Battle Royale. But obviously, the downside is that this normalization kind of just does two things that are really bad. Obviously, once a Battle Royale becomes normal, then it becomes much harder to create these complex, unique interactions, right? Because then you're just fucking trying to kill each other. It becomes, again, like a game PUBG or Fortnite or whatever, right? And the second thing that is bad is it falls into a lot of these negative, easy sort of crutches that people writing Battle Royale often take. That is sort of replacing a lot of these complex emotional developments with with extreme emotional developments that are created by fight or flight characteristics, right? So it's like, oh man, I'm about to die. I'm having all these extreme emotions. Oh, what do I do? Do I save my friend or heroically, or do I just
about to
run away?
die. I wish Cutie would come over and make me a magical girl.
Yeah, so it's like all this like drama is happening, and all these extreme emotions are happening because of this fight or flight. Am I about to die? Oh, if I get caught in this trap, do I have to save my friend? Blah blah blah. So they're extreme emotions, but they're not unique or complex emotions.
Are you saying, Spire, that the dark magical girl genre is a breakdown of the human psyche in a pinch?
No.
Are you saying that it reveals the true nature of humanity?
The true nature.
Wow, very cerebral.
It reveals the true nature of the writers in some sense, but I'm not sure about the exact true nature of humanity. But you guys see where I'm going with this, right? So it's like they're substituting a lot of these things where if there was more thought put into it, there were more like, oh, maybe if the characters acted like this, it could be a better series. But instead of that, they're kind of being like, okay, well, what happens when this girl is being eaten by a bear? They just make a synopsis around it. And
Are you
Be-
wait,
because
Spire? Are you saying one of the magical girls
Little Sticks is a
summons
bear.
a bear? Nice.
That'd be so good.
Just
Holy
throws
shit.
baby bears.
If that was part of the series, I would name this series the best series of the season. I'm not even lying. But the point is, again, it's substituting this extreme emotions in, and it's not very impressive, to be quite honest. And so that's sort of what's going on with this, and that's sort of the deviation that's going on, if I may theorize. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
To answer your question.
My question
Along
is,
with obviously doing like an arms race about, arms race on like the gore and like, oh man, I have the worst background, as I said like before, like the thing where I was making it look like everything catches on fire and your immediate family all dies, stuff like that, right? Other than that. Did you have another question?
yeah, I was gonna ask, is the only motivation for them killing each other is like to not die?
Yeah,
Pretty
so
much.
it's like weird. So it's both like a quote unquote carrot and a stick kind of thing, where it's like the standard premise is that if you win, you get this one wish, whatever it is. You summon Shinron, right? And if you lose, you fucking die. Or like even if they don't tell you in the rules, like it's usually like the next day she died, and you're like, yeah, I kind of saw it coming.
Oh, King's Game already came out.
So it's very yeah, I mean, I don't know what else to say. It's that sort of thing. So
Would you
So-
recommend it to people who like the dark magical girls genre, like Yuki Yuna as a
Me.
hero, and Madoka, and
if they
and,
okay,
like-
so this is the thing I will. If you like that sort of like angsty like battle royale, my family is like the worst family in the history of every family in history. Sure, go for it. I think it's essentially doing an arms race. It's
are
not doing,
you
like,
saying it would resonate with people who have a dark past?
I don't know if it's resonating, but it's like a higher concentration of that cocaine.
Wow, that's
If-
so me.
it's it's like a higher concentration. It's not like different kind of thing.
So it's like revenge porn kinda, but then it's like
Yeah, it's like a stronger sort of English porn. English porn, I think, is the word you're looking for, or the phrase rather. But it is a stronger grade of it, but it's not that different or anything like that. But
it's not that
I would-
innovative.
Yes. But if I would venture to say, if you have such a strong fetish that about dark magical girls that you actually value Mahou Shoujo site strongly, even in this season, then I would suggest that you contact a therapist. I don't know what
Stop.
else.
Get some help.
Yeah, get some fucking help. But fuck. You had a question after that I wanted to answer, right? It was
Well, I was just saying, like, if the only motivation they have,
it was dying. Yeah. So I want to explain a little bit more about why they have the whole like dying and the wish thing. And the wish thing is to not like both of them are so that's part of the problem, right? It's like that's what I'm talking about, the normalization. So let me break the game or the battle royale down into three parts. And the three parts will sound weird, but it'll make sense later. So the three parts are the reward, the punishment, and then the game itself, right? Like the process, like killing each other, doing whatever, right? Or stealing each other. So each of these have distinct parts of the story. So the story, the game itself, obviously provides the action flow, like, oh, these two meet each other, or like, this character needs to get bumped off to the side or whatever it is. So it allows a writer to kind of shuffle the characters around, right? So that's what happens. The reward is actually not that important, except in the end game and in the flashback / character developments, because the idea is that the standard thing is like flashback, something super bad has happened, so they want to fix that using the reward. And that's sort of, why do you want the reward? What will you do to get the reward? because of that flashback, is what what drives the character development, right? And in a sense, quote unquote, what drives the character action, right? So there's a reward, and then finally the punishment. Punishment is also relatively irrelevant to the character's driving motivation. But what it does is when they are about to die, or when they are put in this dramatic situation, they're like, oh no, if I do something stupid, I might die. So then it shows this sort of cathartic fight or flight. So the way I describe this is that none of these actually, none of these really strongly motivate, like strongly and consistently motivate the characters to take proactive action. They are all parts of this thing where it's like, if they are used to evoke emotion from the character and hence from the viewer. Does that make sense? They're not actually used as driving forces for the characters to do stuff from episode to episode. So then what happens? Then how do the character, or why do the characters move at all, you might ask me? Well, my theory is that, again, it goes back to this normalization of the game. When people are like, oh, magical girl, would you like to be a magical girl and join this game? And the main character's like, well, sure, why not? It's on this website. Why am I just click okay? And then they like get sucked in or whatever, right? And then once they get sucked in, they're like, oh man, this game fucking sucks. But I guess we have to do it. So the action of just doing stuff in the game becomes normal. And that's part of the problem. That's part of the major problem with these Magical Girl series, because none of these sort of like actual motivating factors or things that should be motivating, the reward, the punishment, or whatever, they're not actually used by the writers to drive people. They're used by writers to evoke emotions. What's actually used by the writers to drive people forward in, the girl, meeting with friend A or killing enemy B or rival B or whatever, is just the game. It is the game itself that drives people forward. So it's becoming understandably stale, right? Because it's like, why are you doing things in this game? Because it's the game. Well, that's a terrible way to do things, right? Clearly. So that's sort of how I see it, honestly, as an answer to your question. It is the game itself that sort of drives forward. But enough about Dark Magical Girl series. I'm like, as a last word, I mean, overall, I would not recommend this series. But further note, this doesn't mean, this sort of rant, what I'm doing, doesn't necessarily mean that I hate the series or hate the genre, Magical Girl genre necessarily. But it's very depressing what writers are doing or not doing rather with the genre, or what they're doing from season to season, or what projects they're sort of trying out, because it's just not very impressive. Again, it's like an arms race at best, with more gore, more anguish, whatever. And as you said, or as you were wondering, there's not many sensible driving factors behind the characters take specific action. So I would hope that in the future, writers think more about what drives these characters forward and make them do specific things that are not just, flashbacks to their mother being brutally murdered by 15 badgers or whatever it is, right? Like, I would hope that they create some better character motivations. That was essentially.
But Spire,
Yeah.
isn't the will to survive the strongest human emotion?
Yeah, that's why it's the most complex one, clearly. But yeah, that was all I had for Mahou Shoujo site. I don't recommend it, and I do wish that this genre would kind of fix itself up soon. But anyway,
would you like it? Would you like it better, Spire, if the main series came out first and then this came out later?
it would certainly be more interesting and better explained. Like, this Mahou Shoujo site would probably be much better explained, but it would still like if Mahou Shoujo Site still came out like this after Mahou Shoujo at the end, it would still not be a very good series. That's what I will say. But it would be better explained. It wouldn't be a better series. But anyways, again, that was my review, and now we'll move on to Toast. What have you been up to?
Wow, that was a nice review, Spire. But unlike you with your dark, grim tones and death, I watched a more light-hearted series, and it's called. Where's my picture? Here. Cutie
called-
Honey Universe. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I believe Nier, you've also been watching this.
I watched a little bit, but
Okay.
I wasn't feeling it. So
Okay, yeah, that's reasonable. Okay, Toast, go on.
This Cutie Honey Universe is actually the 5th reiteration of a manga series written by the famous.
Wait. Can I just interject? I know. Please only explain the most recent reboot, if you could. If we get into trying to explain all of the other
But
series,
they're
we
kind
need a
of
break.
all the same except Shin Cutie
Yeah.
Honey.
Okay. So
Yeah,
you
they're
only
pretty
need to.
all rehash.
Okay.
same.
So please, so there's the brief history again. There's like a whole bunch of like rehashes throughout the years, and this one is the most recent one, the 5th reboot or whatever.
If you
right?
know who Go Nagai is, he's like the most famous manga guy of all time because he pioneered many of the genres that we see
Basically,
today.
he's-
He pioneered Mazinger Z, Devilman, Gekko Kamen, Violence. I think did he do Violence Jack?
yeah, pretty
Yeah, Violence Jack.
Uh-huh.
And Cutie Honey. Cutie Honey being what is basically what he claims to be the first time in a shonen series that a girl is the main character. And it
Okay.
stars the titular Honey Kisaragi, who's a robot. Made after her dad's dead daughter. And she's got this fancy device. What's it called? It's called like a airborne element fixing device, which lets her use the air to make anything. And so there's this evil organization called Panther Claw that's like, I want that device that makes air into anything. And then they turn girls into beast panther ladies. And they're like, we're gonna kill you, Cutie Honey, and steal your device. And she's like, no. And then she
Nope.
Nope.
and then Cutie or Honey Kisaragi has the power using the device to transform into 6 different personalities. One of them being the most used, the Cutie Honey one, which is the red-haired one. But she also has other ones. There's the blue one that rides a bike. There's the purple one who likes clothes. There's the green one. The green one who's like a photographer. Then the brown tan one who's an idol. And there's a cabin what the heck's a cabin attendant idol? I don't know what that is. Because there's apparently a difference between like a music idol and an idol. Probably because this was made in the 70s. I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, it tells the story of how Honey Kisaragi turns into Cutie Honey and fights off the bad guys, all while getting into some pervy situations. Because when she fights, her clothes rip, and then she's like, yeah! And then some pervert moments happen, and that's about it. That's like, that's it. Go Nagai might be the pioneer of many things, but that doesn't mean it's always good.
Yeah. So my question is, compare. You watched both this and like the older version.
I've
like,
watched one of the older versions.
Yeah,
The one
wow.
that like looks kind of like because each one has their own animation style, which you can tell by the timeline they were made. The original one looks like the manga. The one made in like the early '90s has the '80s one where they were more focused on like realistic looking characters, and then there's the '90s one which has more focus on like the eyes and how and like Shoujo stylish, I guess. And then
Yeah.
and then there's the 2001, which was made by Gainax, and it looks really, really good. And then there's this one, which pays homage to like the '70s style. So yeah.
Yeah. So what I'm wondering is more about just like it sounds kind of weird, and I don't really mean it in this way. Well, I don't know how else to kind of describe it, but it's like the way the idols are like portrayed and stuff like that. How do they differ between the two series?
What do you mean idols?
They're not all idol Spire.
I mean, the one. I mean.
God, you see a girl in anime and you immediately assume it's an idol?
I apologize. I mean, I guess like the main cast of girls.
What main cast of girls is you got Cutie Honey, and then she comes in 7 different flavors. Even though she's the same person, she's basically her own magical girl team.
Shake my head. You know what I mean?
I mean, like that's what I mean by just because you pioneer this doesn't mean it's good. When compared to other magical, I guess this counts as magical girl shows that are more prevalent. They have a team, right?
Mm-hmm.
But then this one, Cutie Honey, is her entire team. So the problem I have with this series, like in general, is that it's kind of like the Kamen Rider to the Super Sentai, where if you have one character that can change it to multiple forms, then your main character development will be about your main character. Well, with Super Sentai, you got a cast, so you gotta divvy up that. And my problem with this is, like, her Cutie Honey's other forms they're just mostly situational. And they're not really all that interesting overall. Like there's a normal Honey who's like, I'm a high school girl, but I also work with the police against Panther Claw. And then there's Hurricane Honey, which rides the bike, and she only uses Hurricane Honey on these bike chase scenes, which by the way have some really bad 3D CG.
Oh really?
It's kind of jarring. And it's like in the recent episode, she used the idol one, the singing one, just to lure him out for like one session, like one 30-minute or 30-second song sung by Yukari Tamura, and it was a good song. But it's like, okay, we're done with you now. Change back into like Cutie Honey so we can fight. And it's like, I get what you're trying to do. I get what you're trying to do to have like this pseudo team that's actually one person, but
it
cuts out on character development that you could be used.
Well,
if they
you have to realize the Cutie Honey is a Gonagai work, right?
Yeah.
And Gonagai, as influential and important as he is, he never really did character development.
Yeah,
right.
I mean, manga back in the days was more about kind of.
I mean, it was a monster of the week thing, right? Like, she gets up against she gets up against this new enemy, and then she changes form and shows some new power.
It's literally the progenitor of. You know how it's like in anime series, like when the characters like see magical girl shows, and then in those that is literally the
Cutie Honey.
Yeah,
Cutie Honey is called like the first magical girl series for a reason. You know, but like I was saying, as influential as Gonagai is, he never really went very deep. You know.
And the way he wanted to sell this wasn't like he didn't want to do something super different. right?
Yeah,
It is
I
like
mean, you know, you can say like, oh,
it's not like
Devilman,
a Ricky
Devilman
Risa
had,
kind of
yeah,
situation. Yeah.
oh, Devilman had a well-written message at the end, but you know,
Yeah.
it wasn't like deep or anything. It wasn't some masterpiece of literature, right? It was just,
Right.
you know, it's Devilman, right?
Yeah. No, I understand.
And Cutie Honey was just, you know, this uh sexy girl fighting monsters, and she's her own Deus Ex Machina, right? It
Yeah.
wasn't like anything super deep,
Is,
so
Right.
it's
isn't
hard
that
to really
because Go
develop.
Nagai was like he snuck his fingers into too many soups, or how did that saying go?
Yeah, no, that's about it.
Yeah, he's got like 18 fingers in different soups.
You know, he's been dipping his fingers into too many sinister soups. Well, I'm trying to quote the monarch from uh, Team, team Go Team Venture, but I don't remember the exact quote. But it's because he's done what? He's done Mazinger, Devilman, Violence Jack. Each one of his series, I guess he's been trying to pioneer something, or like break the mold of what manga used to be back then. Because something like with Cutie Honey, like, oh, magical girls, and then his other work, Kekko Kamen, it's more like he was trying to push the envelope of censorship as much as they could, because Kekko Kamen, if you don't know, is about this girl who turns butt naked, and her attack is like the pubic hair attack, where she just throws her vagina at you, and it's like, oh, you can't
Yeah,
do
I
that,
mean,
Go Nagai, and he's like, I can
he
do what I want.
he was a groundbreaker, I guess you could say. He
Yeah.
like could
But
shake it
this
up, but
project is
yeah,
different. This project is different. What I think Nier might have wanted to say.
yeah. I mean, what I was trying to say is like, uh, there's only so much you can do with something like Cutie Honey, right? Like,
That's understandable. Yeah.
it's very set in its format of like being a monster of the week kind of
It's
thing.
very set in like the era that it was developed.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's very much a product of its time. Whereas, you know, something like Devilman, has a lot of flexibility, right? Like it has its structure, but you can adapt it in many different ways, as you know we've seen over the years of Devilman. You know, similar to I think I'd say Mazinger is pretty similar. You know, you can like it's got its format, and
Mhm.
you can do a lot with it. But I feel like Cutie Honey is very much like it set its rules a little bit too much, and you know you can't really change things up with Cutie Honey, especially when the series has like so much tradition to it.
Speaking of
Yeah.
tradition, the one thing that I have to knock off points for is they didn't
Yeah.
use the original Cutie Honey opening. Each other series has used the same Cutie Honey song over and over. This one is completely new. That doesn't make it a bad song. It's kind of okay, but it's definitely not.
Yeah,
Definitely not the Cutie
people are
Honey
pretty
opening.
mad. People are pretty mad that they changed the opening because Cutie Honey's used the same opening for the past like what 30 years.
30, 40 years.
Yeah, and then this one doesn't. People are like, wait a minute, you can't just do that.
But
Yeah, very.
but at least compared to something like Sailor Moon Crystal, which was a reboot of also like an old series, this one doesn't have as many animation problems.
Well, what studio is doing this again?
Which one is it? I don't remember. ATX? Tokyo MX? No? I don't know.
It's
Production Read? What the heck is that?
I don't know.
Anyways,
I-
any last? Yeah.
Would I recommend it? Sure. It's alright. It's definitely
Yeah.
like it's a product of its time that doesn't make it necessarily super bad,
Hmm.
but it's more. This is an homage to the old series. If you like magical girls, this is definitely something you could watch.
Hmm.
But there's also four other series. There's original Cutie Honey, Shin Cutie Honey. I don't recommend that. Cutie Honey Flash, or the Gynax one. But this is probably the one that's going to be a full 12 series, unlike the Gynax one, which is like what 3 ovas.
Yeah.
Okay, that's understandable.
I mean, yeah, it's if you want to see where magical girls started up, I'll recommend this, or I'll recommend Cutie Honey Flash.
Yeah, personally, I'd recommend watching Cutie Honey Flash or, um,
Yeah.
I mean, any other of the past ones, because like this series has a lot of history. I think starting with the newest one is sort of doing a disservice to like yourself more than anything. You know. But yeah, I mean it's Cutie Honey, so.
Okay. All right. Well, again, thank you, Toast and Year, for the review. And again, please do check it out if you are sort of into kind of that more, I guess,
If you're
nostalgia
into
around
that pervert
nostalgia.
kind of thing.
All right. And then we'll move on now to Dark. What have you got?
Have you been watching some Dark Magical Girl series too, Dark? That's it's in your name?
Yeah, man, I've been watching a real dark series. It's called Creatures Family Days. And it's about a family of creatures and critters. And they were experimented on by their parents that were mad scientists. But then they went to prison, so now they gotta fend for themselves.
Did they go to a prison school?
Then they made a YouTube channel.
No, then they made a Twitch channel because YouTube demonetized them.
Nice.
They said the N word as well, and it didn't work. Didn't work out for them. But yeah, so they're weird mutants. One of them's a spider. One of them's a plant. One of them's a person who could read minds. One of them's a person who can turn into a dog. Pretty crazy stuff overall. It's a Chinese cartoon, by the way.
Yeah, not these superior Nipponganese anime.
Yeah, actually from a Chinese studio.
Is it a
believe.
Chinese web?
I don't
Was it
remember the
made out
name.
of a Chinese webcomic? Is it Tencent? Don't let it be Tencent.
I don't know. Why don't you fact check him, man? I'm actually not prepared for that whatsoever.
What's the series called again?
What series? What?
What series?
Creatures Family Days? I forget what the Japanese name is or whatever.
Xianping Jiating? Or
I guess, dude.
Jikken-hin Kazoku.
Mal does not list the studio.
Okay, that's a good sign.
KJJ Animation.
So it's a short, for one. But interestingly enough, it doesn't really have like a consistent time. Like sometimes like the first episode I think is like 12 minutes, and then the second episode is 19 minutes.
Well, what do you kind of expect from a weird Chinese studio? They aren't consistent, unlike when they did Tencent did for King's Avatar.
You can't say that, man.
I'm looking at this promo, like art, and
Yeah, what do you think about?
It looks like this. I'm gonna link this. The Spider Girl's arm is cut off, right?
Nice.
Like I'm not seeing that wrong, right?
Huh?
It's like super short or
Where?
whatever.
No, like it's straight up cut off.
Where?
No.
Oh, nice. A nice picture from the picture.
Oh, shit.
Oh,
The spider arm.
in the one where they're at the festival, right?
Yeah.
It was supposed to be the widescreen one.
Yeah, it's like cut off.
It's probably
It's like chopped off.
yeah. They
That's
probably
super good.
It looks
So
like they-
basically, what we have on stream seems to be the original art.
This is on Mal. This is official
that
art.
as soon as it gets past that, it's all cut off. That's good. No, I like that.
That's probably because
That's got character.
That's
That's
probably
got
because
character.
due to the title.
That's creativity, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
The title
No,
comes from the band.
Yeah, it's a battle wound. That's actually part of the lore. So anyway, it's The premise is okay. It's got that weird timing thing, which is strange to say the least. I guess the only other real standout thing would be like the audio visuals are not terrible, but they're not great either. They're like mediocre. They're better. They're probably better than what you'd expect.
Wait, is this voiced by Japanese people or is it voiced by Chinese people?
It has both, but I watched the Japanese dub
Oh,
because Chinese is hard on the ears.
what are you, a weeb?
But also, yes. I don't know. I just prefer to watch the Japanese one because I know voice actors in Japanese and can gauge quality. Which there are shaky performances. I would say everyone's pretty okay, save for the girl with the plant, the like flowers on her head, the plant girl. Her voice actor is I recognize who it is, but I don't remember.
Hayami Saori?
Yeah, for some reason her performance in it is pretty like weird. It doesn't sound right.
What do you
It sounds
mean?
really off. Like she's trying to go for a more airhead thing, but it kind of just sounds like she's a amateur voice actor instead of voicing an airhead character.
I mean,
It's hard. It's pretty hard to explain.
I think
It's not super jarring, but it's noticeably.
I think her natural tone it would be okay for an airhead thing, but maybe if she's trying, what I'm guessing is that if she tries focusing too much on being an area like airhead, then it becomes problematic. Is what I would guess, right?
I mean, she could also just be phoning it in. God.
Yeah.
I don't know how little she's being paid for something.
Yeah.
Yeah, I very much think it's the latter. I think she's kind of phoning it in, which is a little unfortunate because the other voice actors are kind of putting in some.
Putting in the elbow grease there. Yeah.
Yeah. But I guess like where the show really kind of falls apart sometimes is, especially with the most recent episode, is some of the actual character interactions gets really weird, and like way overly dramatic. At least, especially for episode 3. Episode 3, the main character, who I forgot to mention, isn't a mutant. He's just a genius that his parents like trained to be a genius. And he's trying to like kind of hold the family together now, but he's still like
with his mind
12 years old. No, with his sick muscles.
Well, you need muscles to deal with strange creatures.
He's the brawn. But yeah, it gets weird because he's supposed to be a genius, and they introduce in episode 3, he's like, oh, we gotta find an adult to like be out. I forget what word they use. Like, I want to say the word they use is sponsor or something. I think it's just supposed to be like their guardian on paper.
A producer, son, you could say.
Yeah. Nah, he just needs someone to be their guardian on paper, and he goes to like his old tutor. And so they meet in a diner.
A family.
All of a sudden,
family
actually, yes, you're right. Family restaurant. And in the middle of them talking, she just has like a mental breakdown, and like she starts shitting on him because like when he was younger, even younger, she couldn't like teach him anything because he was so smart. And she's just like, oh, that's why you're so smart, because you're a freak. I knew it. I'm not stupid. You're a freak. I'm still very
Why don't you go solve some math or something, you fucking genius?
And he's just like sitting there like, what?
What? It's like, okay.
His sister, who he brought with her, who reads minds, shits on her by being like, yeah, well, you're miserable and your boyfriend left you, bitch. and then they walk out. But it's just really weird. Like, it gets real weird. It gets real intense out of nowhere with a really stupid concept. Like, what has... You mean to tell me there's like a fucking college professor who's like, they're like, yo, tutor our kid, he's a genius, and we're scientists that are also geniuses. And then the tutor comes up and is like, oh, I can't teach this kid anything. And then gets mad, like, well,
Grr.
it's just, yeah, it's like, oh no, there is a smart child here. Like, what? That's not a fucking thing that happens. I don't think that would ever happen. It goes so far from like reality that it kind of takes you out of it and gets a little weird.
Well,
But-
it is a short, so
I mean that was 19 minutes, barely a short 19-minute episode. Doesn't really count.
Why is this labeled as sci-fi?
Because there's mutants.
Oh,
I'm sorry.
They were mutants that were created by a doctor, dude. That is both science and fiction.
Dark, the politically correct term is metahuman.
You're right. I'm sorry.
Shake my head. Anyways, any last words?
I mean, you can like give it a watch. I guess it's not
I
the
guess.
worst thing. It's not the worst thing you'll ever see, but the Spider Girl is really.
Mhm.
really makes you rethink the sci-fi genre.
It
Yeah, I would
it
say, like,
revolutionizes the genre.
Yeah, I would say like of influential sci-fi pieces, I would go like Star Wars, Star Trek, and then Creatures Family Days at the top.
Nice.
I would say it goes in that order.
All right. Anyways, thank you, Dark, for that review. Very nice. And now, last but definitely not least, you go on to Nier. What have you got for us?
Nothing. Podcast's over.
All right.
It's done.
All right. Time for the shout-outs, call-outs. Spire,
Yeah,
what
I
is the
hear-
shout-out,
the
call-out?
news.
Oh, right.
I
that's
hear
it.
you got some funny faces to talk about.
Yeah, I got some funny XD wahoos. I watched Golden Kamuy, which is a series that I have a little bit of history with.
Mhm.
Because I
Did it put
one of the
thumbtacks in your shoes when you were little?
yeah
Yes.
I put 7 pounds of razor blades in my
Just-
socks.
You can't actually put your foot in there. You just look and you're like, oh man, I
that's
got
right.
bullied.
Oh, man, I'm bullied. I feel
I
bad.
probably gotta call the bully hunters, my
Bad
man.
cry. Better call the bully.
Hey, name the bully.
Anyways, keep going.
So Golden Kamuy is a series that I one of those few series where I read the manga.
Wow, reading! Oh my god.
But
Although actually, Nier, you do read. I mean, it's not like you're just like a vacuum cleaner, like skipping over everything. But you do read like stuff that you like, so it's not like it's not dark over here.
I'm just very picky
Look.
about the series I read.
I read Accelerator one time. Right.
But Golden
yeah.
Kamuy is a multi-award winning manga.
Oh, that
and,
must mean it's good.
It's I would say for good reason. Golden
Is it
Kamuy,
as award winning as Prison School though? Is what I'm
I think-
curious about.
I think it won more awards, right? 'Cause,
Yeah, it actually
Definitely
did.
Golden Kamuy
It
won
keeps
a lot of
winning. And
awards.
we'll actually cover that in a bit, but yeah, it keeps winning awards.
All I do is win, baby. But Golden Kamuy is a series set in the Meiji era, correct? Near the end of the Meiji era.
yes.
After the gold rush, and it's a story about a former soldier, a war veteran, Sagimoto the Immortal, I believe, Sugimoto, sorry, but
Wow, not even a fan.
yeah, I'm a fraud, but he hears this story about some legendary Ainu gold that some prisoner dude stole from like these the native people in Japan,
So when does this take place? This is like the 1900s, right?
Yeah, very early 1900s. I think the very start of the series it says like 1902 or something. Something like that. But
It's right after the war.
yeah. Right
So
after
1904-ish. Okay.
something like that, yeah. But it's basically a story. It's pretty much a western, but set in Japan.
Oh yeah,
So, like-
yeah. Now that you mention it, that is true. It's like everybody's sort of like chasing after this
Yeah,
whatever
it's-
shit.
So
is.
it's like the
Big
road to
deal.
El Dorado.
Yeah, and the premise of finding the gold is that the guy who originally stole the gold and hid it away, in order to keep the location a secret, but also let people he trusted like find it, he tattooed a bunch of fellow prisoners with a map, and then like when the main character finds one of them, and then they discover that in order to get the whole map, you need all the prisoners, and it's basically tattooed in a way where you need to skin them and then piece it all together to see the whole map. So
Wow, is this Saw 2?
obviously the guy didn't intend to share the gold.
Mhm.
But yeah, it's basically a western where the main character and the little I Knew Lolly are chasing down the gold, and everybody else is out to stop them. And it's a very simple story, very simple premise, but it's handled it very, very well.
That's pretty fun
very-
though, because it's like it's an actual like it's a western that is themed more like a Western stories western. Like it's like one of those Asian like western movies. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
where like an Asian director is like, oh, I want to try doing a western, and then kind of
yeah.
yeah.
The term for it,
Is there an
which I don't know how offensive it actually is looked at, but it's sushi western.
is that an actual like term that was coined?
Yeah,
That's
it's
pretty
like how
funny,
there's
yeah.
a spaghetti western, it's sushi
Ah,
western.
Okay,
Nice.
okay. Yeah, okay. So a sushi western, I guess.
But
Cool.
yeah, it's a very simple premise, and the plot, it doesn't get too deep or anything. But a lot of the
Mhm.
a lot of the charm that comes from this series is all the trivia. Like there's constant trivia about not only like the era, like just the time,
Oh yeah.
but there's a lot of food, trivia, a lot of Ainu trivia. Ainu are the people, like the native. I'm not super educated on this, but I assume they're like the native
They-
peoples. Of
They were
Japan,
essentially
kind of?
they were essentially
Indigenous?
yeah, people of Japan and Russia. So it's like they were in Japan, I think. They were in Japan, right?
Yeah.
Oh, they were like spread along like in the region between Russia and Japan is how I'm seeing it.
Okay,
Yeah.
but yeah, there's a lot of trivia about
Mhm.
the Ainu
That's
people.
very interesting.
It's like constant trivia, and it adds a lot of charm
Mhm.
to the series, and it adds a lot of
It's not just like
development.
based upon some like bullshit whatever like thing. It's an actual like it's almost like trying to be a historical fiction more.
Sort of, yeah.
Yeah.
And it just adds a lot of I feel like it adds a lot of character depth to the main, like the side, the deuteragonist, I suppose.
Right.
The little lolly girl that's always following the main character, and it just adds a lot of charm to the series in general. And yeah, it's just this series is like, I don't know, it's one of those series that just deserves all the praise it gets, really.
Yeah, it seems to me again like I've only like read the very beginning of it. I do regret not being able to get more into it. But it seems like the way I'm describing might be a little bit funny, but it's like dark chocolate kind of series. You know what I mean? It's not like it doesn't have the obvious like, oh, this is the theme or this is whatever is going on kind of thing that's going on. But it's like it settles you down at its pace, and then it goes through the trivia, it goes through the western part of it, and even the Western part of it, I know even like I guess like a lot of like Westerns these days don't necessarily just have like action 24/7. A lot of it's like a build up to like a final fight, right, sort of thing.
Yeah.
But this one is definitely a little bit more on the not necessarily slow but like steady side.
Yeah, but there is a decent amount of action because
Yeah.
there's like multiple factions that are going after the gold. So there's like the main character, obviously.
Right.
There's the prisoners that have the tattoos themselves that are also hunting down the other prisoners.
Right.
Obviously, they want the gold too, right?
Right.
And then there's a military corps, that's like aiming to overthrow the Japanese government and like
Right.
take control of Hokkaido with the gold. They're gonna like buy advanced American weapons, take
Right.
over Japan.
You mean
I
a
like
Gatling
how
gun?
the Western like includes like all the stuff that's like usually like sort of like memes and Western things too, where it's like there's this like military political like aspect to it, like
Yeah,
I'm gonna fucking get the secret weapon, like yeah,
take over the country.
exactly.
But yeah, there's some decent action.
Mhm.
There's there's a few famous scenes with bears and punching, but getting into that, the audio visuals for the anime are
Mhm.
a little spotty in some places. I don't know if
Yeah,
you guys.
it started out from what I saw in the beginning. It seemed a little bit sketch, but
I don't know. I don't know if you guys have actually watched any of this, but
I have.
there's a few CG bears, and they don't look good. They don't look good.
Do they look better than the Kumamiko bears?
Uh, no.
That bear wasn't CG, dude.
Exactly.
They look like fucking like a launch PS3 model bear. That's like it's just so weird. It's so bizarre, and it's like it doesn't make any sense because like they have this big CG bear, and then they have this 2D animated bear cub right beside it, and it's like what? Why?
they just gave up for the adult.
Yeah, I don't get it. And they use it multiple times too. And there's a wolf that follows the lolly character around, protects her sometimes, and he's CG too sometimes, and it doesn't look nearly as bad. And it just doesn't make any sense as to like why this bear looks so fucking bad, and they use it so many times. It just
Shadow of Berserk coming in right there.
I don't know. It's weird, but you know,
Right. This one.
I kind of forgive it because the studio seems relatively new. It's Gino Studio who's done Kokoku.
Oh,
And
okay. So that's studio.
That's pretty much it. Um, so you know, I'll let that slide for now. If I start seeing a bunch of other CG animals, I'm gonna start getting upset. But
Yeah.
yeah, other than some whack CG, this series looks pretty good. You know, I think I think the manga has a certain style that's very very hard to replicate in motion. You know, the manga has that weird, slightly rough but also polished art style to it. It just gives it this certain tone, right? That's very hard to put into a clean animation. But I think for the most part they did a pretty good job of adapting the art style to motion, and it's pretty good.
Okay. So as a last word, I want to ask you a little bit more of like a more of an interesting question. So let's say somebody has watched all the anime up to the most recent episode. Would you obviously you recommend them the manga, right? That's probably beside the question.
Yeah.
But what are one or two things you would tell them as before they read the manga?
I don't know. Just that the manga's gotten like a dozen awards, and it pretty much rightfully deserves them all. Like,
Is it a straight adapt, I guess?
yeah, it's a pretty straight adaptation.
Okay.
I think by episode 4, we're like, yeah.
Okay.
I think by episode 4, it's pretty much halfway through volume 2. So, it's decently paced. They haven't really skipped over much. There's some side gags and small panels and stuff that they skipped over, but nothing like,
Nothing major, right?
yeah, no character development's getting skipped over or anything. But yeah, it's a pretty straight adaptation. I'd just say if you like the anime, the manga is just that much better. Like, and I'm not saying that because like the anime isn't good, but like the manga is just that good. Like, this manga is really fucking good.
Okay. All right. Again, thank you so much, Nier, for keeping up with Golden Kamuy and telling us all about it. Again, Golden Kamuy won a lot of actual good awards for consistently has been on the award list throughout not only the beginning of this year but pretty much the last half of last year. I think the entire last year back, and so it's winning a lot of acclaim. As Nier has explained, very mellow, very good series. Not mellow, but it's a very steady, good series. But please do check it out if you like that. So again, thank you, Nier, for the review. And now we'll move on to news and shoutouts and callouts later. All right, so news. A little bit of quiet week. First one up, well timed. The Asahi Shimbun paper announced the winners for the second annual Tezuka Osamu Cultural Prize Awards for manga on Tuesday. The grand prize went to Golden Kamuy by Noda Satoru. So this year marks Golden Kamuy's third nomination and first win. A new creator prize, Beastars by Itakaki Panu.
I've read that one.
Furry
It's
series?
weird. It's weird.
Yeah, well, it's a furry series, right?
It's like what Zootopia, I guess.
Yeah, I don't know what to say about it. I'll get it. Anyways, and the short work prize goes to Oya-san Toboku by Yabetaro. Asahi Shimbun will host an award ceremony in Tokyo on June. The committee also awarded a special prize to Tetsuya Chiba behind Ashita no Jo for his contributions to manga culture over the years. So yeah, congratulations to everybody. This is Tezuka Osamu, from judging from their past sort of awards list, they take it pretty seriously. They're not just like, oh well, what's the most popular thing? Let's just award it. No, they actually nominate pretty good series. So please do check out Golden Kamuy again if you do like it. And maybe Beastars as well, who knows?
Who knows, man?
Anyways, congratulations again. Next piece of news. Continuing news on the NTT piracy front. So Nippon Telegraph and Telephone Corporation, or NTT, announced on Monday that it will begin blocking 3 websites with pirated content as a quote-unquote short-term emergency measure after preparations are complete. So this is the part of the news that we covered last about Mangamura, AnyTube, and Mio Mio, who are sort of manga aggregation and piracy, right? And the Japanese government was seeking to crack down on them, and the Japanese government was taking a much more sort of manual measure to hands-on, very, very manual, find these specific sites, block them, stuff like that, and asking all these ISPs to block them also. And then a funny thing happened afterwards, which was a Saitama prefecture lawyer filed a case against a unit of against a unit of NTT after they began blocking 3 websites with pirated content on Monday. So the plaintiff, who is Nakazawa Yuichi, claimed in the case that NTT's action is allegedly a violation of the Telecommunications Business Act, constitutes a violation of privacy of communication due to the action implying that NTT is aware of the content that its users access. Article 3 Article 3, Chapter 1 of the Telecommunications Business Act states no communications being handled by a telecommunications carrier shall be censored, while Article 4 states the secrecy of communications being handled by a telecommunications carrier shall not be violated. So they're trying to do it along the freedom and like censor sort of things, which is I'm not sure if it's going to work against specific like piracy regulations, but we'll have to see. But anyways, that's an interesting matter going on there.
The manga industry is saved.
Yeah. The next piece of information is pretty funny, pretty cool. Nico Nico Cho Kaigi. Cho means like super, and Kaigi means like convention, so it's like super convention. The convention held by the video service Nico Nico at the Makuhari Messe complex in Chiba attracted 161,300 attendees during the April 28th to 29th weekend. Additionally, 6.12 million people watched the official live streams of the event on the Nico Nico service. So pretty big. Not as big as the 2015 event, which apparently had nearly like 8 million stream viewers, but still going very strong. Probably this year it was buffeted up by the fact that obviously the rise of virtual YouTubers, right? So a lot of people came to see those events. So that's pretty interesting. Next piece of news, a little bit on the more on the company front, licensing and trademark. One is Nozomi Entertainment revealed on Thursday and confirmed with ANN that it's Maria Watches Over Us, or Maria Sama ga Miteru, which is a very, very, very like classic brand in Japanese anime. The license is actually expiring. The company is selling through its final stock of all 4 seasons for US $12 per season. So this is they're probably letting the license / contract just expire, and it's probably marking the end of an era. Again, Maria Sama ga Miteru, very popular series over there, and as well as used to be very popular over here. Used to be tops on the Oricon charts in Japan. So unfortunate to see it go. And the other news related to trademark / licensing is that a Chinese court ruled that a character trademark filed by Fujian province-based sporting goods company was invalid due to the similarity to the title character in the Japanese manga Doraemon. You can see kind of what they drew over here, which is exactly Doraemon.
That's literally Doraemon.
Yeah.
What?
The company drew Chimao, or Robot Cat, another name for Doraemon in China. So their name is also Doraemon. Has been using the above character with a registered trademark symbol since at least 2011. But Beijing Daily reported that the character was only successfully registered in December 2015.
Holy shit.
What?
Drew Chimao filed a lawsuit to protest the decision in January, reportedly claiming that his image does not sufficiently resemble Doraemon. The court rejected Drew Chimao's claims.
I wonder why.
Sufficiently. He's a different shade of blue, dude.
Anyways, so unfortunate.
It's like that fishball thing from Simpsons.
He's got the fucking bell and tail and everything. Like you can't.
Yeah,
He's
exactly.
got the same mouth, dude.
That's actually how they draw it in some like official art. Like that sort of thing is, or like that sort of like art style. So they probably copied and pasted from like an official art kind of thing.
Probably. I wouldn't be surprised if that is just straight up official art that they just pasted onto it.
Yeah. Anyways, moving on to our last piece of event news before we move on to people. But so Mediascape's Play Dojin project, and this Play Dojin project is an initiative that was to port Dojin games, in particular fan-made Toho games, to PlayStation consoles. The project is a collaboration between Toho project creator Zune and PlayStation. I mean, it says Dojin, but it's probably just gonna be all Toho. Like, let's be real here. But
it's gonna be all Toho.
Yeah. But anyways, this project announced a list of upcoming console releases for Toho Dojin games on Thursday and Friday. The following games will launch for PlayStation 4. and it's like a whole bunch of like random stuff like Toho Genso Marioku WRPG, and this random guy Triple Room and Ikai Karyu's upcoming Yoyami Dances rhythm action game. Toho Sky Arena, Genso Kyoko Senki, Matsuri Climax 3D, Spell Battle Action, and Desunoya's Marisa to Alice no Torapu Tower, or action puzzle game. I don't know why I tried to repronounce it in English when it's half in English.
Sky Arena is one of my favorites.
The following games will launch for both PlayStation 4 and Nintendo Switch. Cube Type's Toho Genso Kiko, Lost Alpha. And newer for Aqua Styles, Toho Genso Wanderer series. Anyways, so that's if you're a Toho fan, still coming on strong. So check those out. So on to people news. A lot of interesting news this time around. A couple of interesting news at least. So first, there's been quite a big incident. Tokyo, which is like a boy band, right? I guess. Boy band bassist Yamaguchi Tatsuya, who is 46 years old, has been referred to prosecutors on suspicion of kissing a high school-age girl against her will at his home in Tokyo. In February, investigators reported that Yamaguchi met the girl through work and invited her to his apartment to drink alcohol. Tokyo's talent agency, Johnny & Associates, issued an apology. The statement reads, "I am deeply sorry for kissing the victim without considering her feelings after drinking alcohol. I offer my wholehearted apology to the victim who has agreed to come to a settlement." First of all, why invite her to drink alcohol? Second of
all, how many times does he find $2,000?
Yeah, but anyways, this guy, there are a couple of more news articles about that, but I'm only going to read this one. But essentially, he was like pretty much cut off from the company and the band and stuff like that, and he's now in house arrest right now or something like that. Yeah, that's how it works.
Why?
Anyways, don't do that, kids. That's not good.
But child porn, nah.
But child porn, though. Second, police from the Seijo area of Tokyo revealed on Thursday that they have arrested 47-year-old Tanaka Yoshikatsu in Kitami, Hokkaido, for criminal intimidation after he allegedly left death threats and comments on actress Non's blog. And then he just like wrote it like death threats and stuff like that. Please don't do that again. Not good. I don't know what else to say. Final piece of news. Musical unit Purely Monster, who is part of like who did stuff for Centaur's Life, Sentaru no Nayami. Member Funato Yurie announced on Twitter on Tuesday that she is a free agent of May 1st. She left both her agency Holy Peak on April 30th. The Purely Monster. Funato revealed that she had suffered a bone fracture and ligament damage in her lower right leg at the end of April 27th. Although she was able to continue working, she broke the bone again in July. She continued to feel pain from the injury even into this year, and she then decided to leave the industry to focus on recuperation as advised by her doctor. So very unfortunate for her. Please wish her the best of luck in her and quick recovery. So yeah, that's the news. And now we'll move on to shoutouts and callouts. Guys, everybody here gets one shoutout, one callout. And the shoutout is one thing, one body of water, one personal gaming device, anything that you want to praise, 10 out of 10, whatever, thumbs up. And call out is the exact opposite, something that you want to insult, make fun of, be angry about. And it can be any one thing, person, place, whatever. And Nier, you are up first this time.
Oh, shit. Fuck, I don't know, man.
Right,
Shoutouts to the Berserk chapter that came out not too long. That was,
yeah.
That was, like 12 pages of battle and no story progression at all, and it was completely unrelated to the stuff that's been developing lately. I appreciate it. It's just
Nice.
good. I like it.
Look, the new Idolmaster game just came out, okay?
Yeah, so yeah, this Idolmaster game actually has a decent amount of grinding, so he's probably just been
I don't like it.
It's gonna just be like, here's shiny colors, like all day. Anyways, keep going.
Callouts to shit. I don't know. Fucking callouts to fucking. What was that? What was that guy's name? That E-League guy? That's like.
Richard Lewis.
Yeah, that's like FGC people are a bunch of losers and only the pros
Yeah.
matter.
So
And
they were trying
brackets
to
brackets should be
suggest.
closed so that
Yeah,
way
they're
only the
trying to
pros show up on
suggest.
stream.
They were trying to suggest this thing where it's like it wasn't even about like denying stream time to new people. They were talking about like having like pro players almost like floated up. It wasn't even about like denying them just like stream time or denying like losers, like quote unquote losers stream time. It was about like, oh, why don't they just have the pro players sort of up in like a more like invitational tier so they can kind of just get past instead of quote unquote losing to a random by a fluke or something like that. And everybody's like, no.
It's not a fluke, man. Sorry,
Yeah.
you just fucking lost.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean that shit just sounded to me like
Yeah, there's been a lot of discussion.
Remember that Smash player that was like, yo, I'm just sick of playing in brackets. Can I just
get flooded? Yeah, can I get flooded?
Yeah, and everyone, even
Lost their
people
shit.
in the Smash community were like, are you fucking retarded?
Yeah.
Like nobody deserves special treatment like that. Like you don't just get floated up into brackets because you don't feel like playing your matches. Like
it's very unfortunate because it's like I know there are some people that were on sort of quote unquote the esports quote unquote side that I think should have known better. Where it's like they see the struggle of the pros and they saw the history of people just kind of being in their basements and just kind of barely climbing up and even not just not being able to even make a really good living. And that's understandable, but you can't just give people like in this sort of area. You can't just give people money and sack competition because it's competitive gaming. Like, what happens when you take out the competition out of competitive gaming, right?
yeah, and I mean, when you take out that like fighting games are a very visceral thing, right? Like it's
it's a
raw.
moral structure. It's a moral structure that is.
Yeah, it's raw competition, right? Like you can't just be like, oh, well, this guy's a pro, so he doesn't have to compete. He just competes at the end, like it's stupid. And then all the shit after where it's like, oh, anybody who's not a pro is just some mentally ill loser who's like, fuck off, dude. You're fucking delusional, man.
It's very unfortunate that, again, in my opinion, it is like a moral fiber that will be lost if competition was just sacked for the pros, right? So.
But what if he was Mango?
Yeah, a Mango though.
Or Mewtwo King.
Yeah, again, it is.
Then he can make plenty of money streaming Mario Kart.
Yeah, I think it reminds me very much of like the political landscape today in the United States, where it's like, well, I don't need to explain anything. But anyways, the idea is that like the FGC also has sort of like an overblown idea of like the monolithic esports, they just want money, stuff like that, which is not accurate, obviously, and that's clearly an overreaction. But it also doesn't help, quote unquote, the esports side. It doesn't help the esports side when the people that are coming in recently are all sort of these worst stereotypes of esports people, right? They're like, well, what's wrong with just denying competition and getting money? Like, even if you thought that, you should never say it. That's just silly, right? So bringing in these worst stereotypes is just.
And then not only that, like you say that, and then when the community as a whole says
rejects it,
like, no, you're fucking ridiculous, and then you just immediately go and turn around and be like, well, the community is just a bunch of mentally ill losers.
Yeah, very unfortunate.
Oh, okay. I don't know what you were hoping to achieve here, but you've destroyed it all.
Yeah, it's again very, very unfortunate. But yeah, that's sort of the situation. But anyways,
I I was just gonna say really quick too that that's also not how any esport works anyway. Like he compared it to esports, and it's like you look at Overwatch League. That's not how that works. They weren't just like, oh, you're pro players, you get to play in the Overwatch League.
Yeah.
There are players that are being dropped in the Overwatch League because someone else in their team was doing a lot better in skirmishes. So they're like, okay, we're putting you in instead. And the way the person got in there was because they were playing in other tournaments and got scouted.
Yeah.
So basically, it's the same shit anyway. Like, there's no, Mewtwo King or what's his name, Hungry Box or whatever in Smash was in Evo top 8 last year, so he just gets in this year.
Yeah.
That's not how it works in any game anyway.
Yeah. It's very unfortunate. The understanding for obviously both sides is kind of like fuzzy, but it is again very obnoxious when some people just come in. They're like, "Well, we have a solution," and the obvious question then is to ask, "Well, if there was such an obvious solution, why didn't it happen before?" Right? So again, very unfortunate. But anyways, again, thanking you for the shoutouts and callouts, and we'll move on to Dark.
Shit. Shoutouts to Fortnite for being a pretty fun game. Pretty cool.
So what's the meteor about in Fortnite?
All it was that meteors blew holes in parts of the map, and now you can get crystal pickups that make you super jump. And there's a bunch of superhero themed stuff now.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, I think it was like I don't think the main comet actually hit yet or something.
Actually, isn't super jumping really good because the idea of like a lot of these things where it's like,
it is.
Because the idea
it's real good.
Because it's like, especially in the end game, you have to be higher. It's like so much better to be higher than your opponent, right? So it's
that's why like a lot of the times people just build like staircases up and shit.
Yeah. The only
having high
drawback.
grounds are really
The only drawback to the super jump is it's loud as fuck. So people can hear you coming from a mile away.
That's understandable.
So shout out to that. They're still supporting the Save the World quite a bit, like the PvE mode, which was nice to see. They're still not supporting it as much as obviously I'd like them to have, but that's just how it goes when Drake plays the other version.
Don't worry. Kanye is gonna come out and he's gonna be like, "Yo, I like Save the World more."
Like Radical Heights, let's be real here.
Oh my god.
Scoopity whoop.
Anyways,
and I guess what's next? Call out?
No.
Oh fuck! I had an actually like decent call out too, and now I can't remember it. It was like a half. Because it was a call out to something that was like pretty alright. Shit. Actually, call out to Overwatch League. I like Overwatch League. I'm having fun watching it. I like Golden Boy. I like pretty much like all the people at the host desks are usually pretty alright. And then 2 of the commentators are okay. But then you get to Semler. And I fucking hate Semler.
I forget where he came from.
I don't know, but
he was a CS:GO guy originally. Okay, he was a CS:GO guy. I think he got a lot of his connections from Too Good. But yeah, anyways, go ahead.
I fucking hate Semler. I mean, he seems like he's nice, but he is one of the worst commentators I have ever seen. I have ever had to fucking listen to.
Broccoli looks like.
Yeah, he wasn't very good like when he was invited over at Too Good in like his early days, and I'm not sure why he. I mean, I guess he used his connection. What else to say?
Anyway, so like his whole thing is he just says random shit. Like today he was like saying one of the team members on what was the Soul Dynasty, they were sitting him out or something, and he's just standing there floating like a sperm whale.
What?
And everyone's just sitting, everyone in the chat is like, what the fuck does that even mean, Semler?
What? Okay.
So I'm not a
What
big
was the thing
fan.
he said? What was the thing he said about broccoli?
He basically like, so the lead-in was that there was some coincidence. He was saying like there was no coincidence. But he started it with, it's no coincidence that broccoli looks like trees, and then went into something completely different about like a player.
What the?
Exactly. What does that mean? Like you open up.
Why does cauliflower look like trees then?
Yeah, it's not even like
It's no coincidence.
Let's move on.
it's no coincidence that cauliflower is the white broccoli.
By the way, let's move on to Golden Coffee.
By the way, Saya player doing real good as Widowmaker's game.
No coincidence. Widowmaker looks like broccoli.
Yeah,
Is Widowmaker
whenever-
secretly a tree?
Game theory.
Oh my
They're
god.
doing commentary, like it just gets sidetracked all the time. Like him and the other person are talking about like nonsense. Like at one point they were talking about shirts and dressing nicely. And like it has nothing to do with the game. Like there are things happening, there are plays being made, and they're not even talking about the game. And everyone in chat doesn't fucking care.
Sounds like
No.
Obama commentary.
Yeah, but at least like sometimes Obama dubs Guy Man and talks about eating out. That's pretty funny. They'll never do that at Overwatch.
It's also like they like they know about the game, they just don't really give a fuck about like commentating stuff.
Yeah.
Like Semler probably like cares, but he kind of has like no idea. I think I could again tell from his early days at the good studio. But like Obama and like I'm just like, yeah, this match is going on with these guys that I like had a beer with yesterday. Guys,
Like they definitely like, not to say that Semler doesn't know Overwatch. Like Semler definitely knows Overwatch. The problem is that he's like not talking about it 90% of the time, which is obviously a problem.
Seems good.
Yeah, it's just like it's super weird. I kind of hope that he's not there at some point. I dread every single time that he's on there for 2 matches.
Good stuff.
I just wish, like, he honestly belongs at the host desk when they're not talking about games. And, like, any of the people from the host desk belong in the commentary spot. There's no, like, he would probably play off of Golden Boy and Malik a lot better than he does with anything. So, yeah. Fucking #fire someone.
All right. Anyways, thank you. Thank you very much, Dark, for your shout out call. Toast.
Spire, what's your shout out and call out?
Okay. If you want me to go first, then my excuse me, I'm just like in a here. My call out is actually to fucking chicken breast because I am like starting from the 1st of May-ish. I've been going on sort of a cutting phase, which means I'm pretty much limiting my calories pretty strictly while still eating a lot of protein. So pretty much the only thing I've been seriously been able to eat is like chicken and chicken breast, and I've been getting pretty tired of chicken breast, even though there are various sauces and stuff like that. But
Have you tried smoked turkey leg?
The issue is it's like if you just have like actually like turkey like breast and like the deep like skin, not skin, excuse me, the meat, that's like okay. But once you start getting down into like actual body parts which have like the fats on it and stuff like that, then the number of calories per protein starts to increase, and that's the danger. But anyways.
Have you tried the Taco Bell protein burrito?
Have you tried steamed ham?
Yeah. God damn it, here. Anyways.
Awesome, I love protein.
So calls to that, and shout outs. I had a shout out. Fuck, what was it? Damn. Oh no! It's fucking no, it wasn't. It was. I don't want to. I was thinking about for 1 second of shouting out Ritsu, but I don't want to do that because fuck that guy.
Fuck that guy.
What if I want to
Lodges
shout
every
him out?
No, you're also not allowed to shout him out. But my shout out goes to actually again what I was talking about, Cooking with Wild Game, the light novel that I was reading. I really like it because it's like I don't know, it's like something
You like
about
the smells?
yes, all of the kunka kunka, but all of the mixture of like the cooking, like details about like the cooking, and it's not like fucking peanut butter on splitter or something crazy. It's like just
Do you mean
fucking
peanut butter
very good.
squid?
Yeah. And then that combined with sort of a much more sort of mellow, like isekai kind of stuff, a little bit more like interesting, like heart, like poorer village, kind of like African village kind of perspective of an isekai was it's pretty interesting, and I want to read more of it. So shout outs to that. Anyways, that was my shout outs callouts. Now Toast, what are your shout outs callouts?
My shout out is to Cutie Honey Flash. Apparently, it's the same people who made Sailor Moon, which explains why it's pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Your call?
My call out is to Cutie Honey Universe. Why are you using so many prolific voice actors? And you're
Maybe
not
it's
even
not that
utilizing them
prolific
properly.
series.
You get, it's like, don't do that.
Well, now you know how I feel.
Why you gotta use 7 super prolific voice actors for Cutie Honey when everyone else used like 1?
Well, now you know how I feel when I watch Dog Days.
They saved money with 1 character by having Cutie Honey and Honey Kisaragi be one
Spire,
person.
for watching Dog Days, you deserve everything you get.
What? Hey, look. The first season had
Don't
potential, all right?
Do not.
My man, are you a Sword Art fan?
I like, not to sound like a degenerate, like no offense or
But
anything.
you are.
Spire, you yourself,
But, like-
you put yourself in the doghouse.
But Dog Days season 1 wasn't terrible. It was like had potential, kind of. And then here I can
Potential.
just see Nier's
That
face.
word.
Yeah, I can just see Nier's face, like just shaking. But then like Nishimura Junji fucked it up in season 2, and I was like, oh, okay, this is literally just turning Resident Sleeper now.
I mean, Super Saiyan 4 is supposed to have unlimited potential, but that doesn't mean it's as strong as Super Saiyan Blue.
God damn it, Toast.
Got a point.
Anyways, thank you, Toast, then, for your shout-outs and call-outs. And with that, we are done with episode 93 of 4PlayerAnimecast. Again, thank you to all the listeners out there listening to the podcast, as well as the people watching on the live stream at twitch.tv/4PlayerAnimecast. That's with the number 4. If you do want to listen to us do a live stream of a recording, we do this every other Saturday starting from 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, where we sit here and talk about the latest and greatest. And in anime, manga, light novel, visual novel, web novels, etc., and all things Japanese animation related. All things award winning. I'm sure Shokugeki no Soma will also win an award soon. Dance game. But yeah, so we'll talk about that. And if you do like us, follow us here on our Twitch side, as well as on our social media, Facebook and Twitter at 4PPAnimecast, also with a number 4. Follow us on our website, 4PlayerAnimecast.moy, where we store all our content. And yeah, so we'll be coming up with a couple more titles in the upcoming week, or in the upcoming episodes, and that will round up heading into the summer season pretty soon. So
God, I hope it's better than this.
It is.
be prepared.
Dude, I'm pretty sure Index Season 3 comes out.
Even
Wow.
like the people that are usually like on like Tumblr and stuff like that are pretty like quiet these days. You know what I mean? Because like usually at this point they'd be like, "Fucking, oh my god, One Punch Man, that's just like me." Like I haven't really seen any like memes like that.
Obviously, you haven't been keeping up with people who like My Hero Academia.
Oh, I mean,
Spire,
like,
it's
I've
because
given
it's a
up on
different
those people,
studio.
but like,
But what do you
I've given
expect?
up on those
They
people.
gave up One Punch Man for
Yeah.
Overload
And then-
Season 3.
And then also, what is it? The
Is Yuragi So next season?
I forget. But also, what was I gonna say? The Darling and the Franks thing has been like back and forth, so I think that's also sort of like died down a little bit because I think everybody's kind of gone into their corners, right? Like they've either been like, "Oh well, Darling and the Franks literally NTR every episode," or like they've been like, "Oh man, Darling and the Franks is like the Evangelion of our generation," or something like that. So
Isn't
they're
it the Nisekoi of our generation?
yes, the Nisekoi. No, it's like Evangelion, but mixed with Nisekoi. It's like Nia's
What?
favorite.
Doesn't make any sense.
Nier, everyone knows that Onodera had a chance.
Yeah, totally, dude.
If she is Onodera the statement to
Shut the fuck up.
to the MC's a pistol or whatever? But yeah, very quiet on the front these days. But anyways, enough of that. Again, thank you so much for listening in, and again, see you next time.